welcome to you out there. I am excited because this is another episode, if I could say that, of Shaking It Up. And this is going to be a good one today. The subtitle for today is Save the Date. And we are really just desiring to dive into a discussion on dating, love, relationships, and everything in between. And I'm excited. We have 4 panelists with us today who are going to share their personal expertise on the matter. So I'm excited to get going. So what I want to do first is just have our panelists today introduce themselves before we begin. And this should be a good one. Let's start with my brother over here.
Hello, my name is Keenan Thomas.
Share a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in this church. Many of y'all may know me. Some of you may not. I own a trucking company called Seaway Trucking Logistics. 31, and that is about it.
And you're single? Right?
Yeah, I'm very much single.
Single.
Very much.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Teresa Mattel Sutherland. Everyone pretty much know me. I've been around since I was a little teeny tiny thing at Mount Calvary, since the old Mount Calvary. Miss it. Being in the church now is bringing back a lot of memories. Try not to tear up. I am a mother. I'm single, yes. I'm a surgical technologist. I've been doing surgeries, assisting in surgeries, specialized labor delivery for about 20 years. 41. What else? I just recently moved back. I'm back home now for good. It feels good to be home. I was living in Maryland, but this is home, and I'm glad to be back. I'm glad Sherry has me on this panel. And that's about it. That's all I can share for right now.
Okay, so good. So these are our single panelists, and we have also a married couple, and I thank them for helping us. Introduce yourselves.
Yeah, definitely. My name is Brandon Strawn, and this is my wife, Alexandra Strawn. And I'm 27. I work for a healthcare company doing recruiting for travel nurses. So that's pretty much what I do. Maybe you want to share.
Yes, my name is Alexandra Strawn. I am a speech-language pathologist, and I work in Tampa, Florida with the pediatric population. Do you want to share a little bit more? I guess we can share a little bit more later about how we met and stuff like that. But yeah, that's me.
Good. So this is what we'll do. We'll start with the singles first. I want to start just a discussion with the singles, and then we'll move to the experience that comes in marriage. And then we'll see what God has to say at the end. So let me begin by asking the single panelists here. And let's just get right into it. We talk about dating. We talk about relationships. I want to know from you, being that, and for myself, I've been married 11 years, just celebrated 11 years of marriage with my beautiful and gorgeous and just so important to me wife, Alicia
Congrats.
Toya Murray. I love you, baby. I know you're watching right now, so I've been out of the game for a long time now. So I wanted to ask this question off the top. Where is dating today? What does it look like? Where is it? I'm not even sure how to phrase the question right, but what does dating look like to you right now, being a single person out there?
Struggle.
It's a struggle.
Yes.
A struggle. Go deeper, brother.
Yes. It's very much a struggle. I don't know. My generation, they actually following things now is, based off what they see on TV. Now females, excuse me when I say this, but now females, when you first meet them, oh, you got to give them this and that, and third. They want purses, they want shoes, they want Louis, they want this and that. Just to date them now, just to date them. And to me, I was raised around like old heads. So flowers and a nice dinner, that's how you get to start dating. But see, now it's corrupt. It's very much corrupt.
Okay, so would you say that's the reason you're single is because of what you just said, or is there other factors to it?
Yes and no. But I learned I just got to play their game. That's just me. I got to play their game. They want some, I want some too.
Okay. What about you, Teresa? Where's dating right now for you? What does it look like?
I don't have any offers. I'm single. I got out of a relationship. My heart kind of got broken very horribly. But basically, when you're, I guess you want to say equally yoked, and when you're not equally yoked, and you try to understand the person, and you try to understand why they are the way they are, and when you're vulnerable, you kind of put your backbone, your relationship with God, trying to understand the other person. So I think, from my perspective, being in with someone that love God as much as I love God, that I can have a relationship with, I can pray with, that is anointed, and understand me. Sometimes I may have struggles, or may want to be left alone, or I may be, my heart has been broken, so if I want a pity party, give me a pity party, or if I want to be alone, or try to understand me and understand my God as well. But as far as offers or trying to date, I'm always, who's not open, I don't want to be alone, I don't, but I guess men these days, I can't say for every man, because there's young, old, some of them have the same mindset. I don't think it's age, I just think it's their relationship with God. So, that's just for me. You have to have a relationship with God, we can grow together. That's my perspective.
Okay, so, and you made the statement that you've been in a relationship before and it didn't turn out well. You were okay. Does that bring some clouds to the idea of looking for another mate or wanting to be in another relation? Does that give you a sense of pause that I've been in this, I don't want to experience this again? Does that kind of bring some stumbling blocks to you in dating?
In a way, I'm not afraid. That's one thing. Sometimes I'm afraid, and sometimes I'm like, if I trust God and I hear God's voice and God will lead me to the man he has designed for me initially, then I just will go that way. But, right now I'm just working on myself, healing. I would like to get my heart healed, Who doesn't want someone, heal you? But, as far as the cloud, I just need to pay attention to the signs more, and just listen to God's voice as he directs me. Sometimes I feel like, it may be God, but I just have to trust in God and just know that voice.
Good. Now I'm gonna ask you a similar question, Keenan, but I want to stick with you just for another question. Do you prescribe still to the idea that, or the kind of tradition that a man should approach you initially, so you should kind of wait?
I thought you were Keenan.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking
that?
to you, Teresa. I'm talking to you. Yes.
No,
Stay with us. No, but yeah, I'm gonna ask him the same question. But do you feel that a man should approach you first? Should you be in wait for him?
Yeah, I'm old school. Listening and I watch a lot of my pillars in the church and relationships, and I notice a lot. And it will feel good for a man to approach me or woo me. So I won't say the song.
Would you object to a more kind of millennial maybe idea that, hey, if I see something I want, I'm going to get it,
Yeah.
and that's just, I don't want to wait on him because let me help him out. I mean, do you agree with that concept?
What you
From a
mean?
woman's perspective,
Like if I would approach him,
or just the idea that as a woman, I like him and I want him, so I'm not going to wait for him to make the move because I don't know where his mind is, but I know that I want him. That could be the mindset, but I know sometimes women may want to wait and say, no, he needs to approach me. I'll sit over here and look cute and get myself dolled up, but come check me out.
Yeah, because I don't like rejection.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't want to be
Okay.
rejected.
So remember that,
Yeah.
because when the
I
fella's
remember
trying
it
to step. But Keenan, I'm asking you that as a man, from a male's perspective,
Right.
and I can lock in with you. Are you of the mindset that, hey, as a man, I need to go take the lead and go get her?
Yeah, I'm gonna go get her myself, but it would help. It would help if the female approach, because how I know you feeling me or not. I don't know. You could be looking pretty over there all you want, but in my mind, I'm thinking like this. It's okay to skip a few. You know what I mean? Not everybody's approachable. You know what I'm saying? I don't like rejections either. Like, I'm gonna tell you straight up. Like, you try to reject me, it's just, baby, do you know who I am? No, I'm playing. But it would help if a female was to approach, and I ain't saying aggressively, but kind of give some signs.
But I don't seem thirsty.
Looking pretty over, no, not really. Not really. Now, thirsty is, you just all up in my face doing the most. That's thirsty. But, just approaching me in a nice way, respectfully, I think that, we'll be on one accord then.
Okay, now what about the cues? Like what would you say to the women who are watching this program, and from your perspective as a man, and you want a single man, and you want to get into, the mode of dating, you want to maybe step to someone you never met before. What would you say to women who, on their side, may not understand it, but you may say, like you said, give me some cues, give me a look, or like, what should the women do to set themselves up for a single man who's preparing to meet them? Or are you just going bare bones? Hey, whether you're looking at me or not, I'm going to approach you. Like, what would you say to the woman to help you out who may be trying to step to a girl?
Just give me that strong eye contact. You give me that strong eye contact, I know it's real, And ladies out there, I'm single, so y'all want to go ahead and text me. The number's below, and I'm available. We can go out to eat. Just holler at me.
Phone number out there.
But yeah, just basically get back onto the question. It's just basically strong eye contact. I like a woman. I don't like too much of the ratchet and, have clothes, females and stuff like that. That's not going to get my attention at all. It might get like one nighter. That's about it. But But yeah, that's about it. I don't do, because I was raised with nothing but females.
Okay.
Like, my grandma, she had 3 daughters, so that's who raised me. Ladies. So I didn't have no male figure or anything like that. So when I see them, that's who I want to be with. Like someone that resembles them, because that's all I seen coming up.
They're strong.
So, someone like that, I think, we can talk.
Okay, okay. So Teresa, based on what Keenan just said, like, how does that make sense to you? Is that something that is quote unquote doable? If you know that a man needs that eye contact or needs some type of kind of leaving the door cracked,
Yeah.
does that help you, knowing that that's what men kind of look for?
Yeah. It's just, just the breadcrumbs, Because, you can do it and then it may not be, he may not want or desire me as a person, like I said, I have kids, so sometimes the rejection part, some may just want you for that one night stand, I don't want that.
Got it. Since you brought up one night stand, how important is sex or the abstaining of it? Is it to you when it comes to dating? Like, just how does the issue of sex factor into dating, the expectation of the partner that you may want, and whether they want to or not? I mean, how much of that factors into the dating aspect?
I mean, I feel as if he desires my loyalty first. That's what matters more than just the sex. So I'm a loyal person, and if I'm loyal to you, and that sex and intimacy will come, I will say, well, I'm not gonna, say, oh, I'm gonna wait, and then, I'm not. I'm just gonna be honest, but as long as I'm loyal to you, and from every step of the way, and he's loyal to me as well, then that's all that matters to me right now.
Okay, what about you, Keenan?
Well, when we talking about first, when we're dating, I know she was talking about loyalty and stuff like that. I be feeling like, loyalty, it's like respect, you know what I'm saying? You gotta earn, and you know what I'm saying? Basically, it's something that's earned. But I don't put a time limit on, if we talking, I don't put a time limit on, when we first do it. Now, I know some older folks, they be like, 6 months, year, till you married. But man, come on now, who finna wait a year? Like, I know for a fact, ain't nobody waiting no year. I'm not waiting no year. And I'm probably not waiting 6 months. But that plays a good, no, for real, because you really got to understand.
Being honest.
Because you got to understand, like, I could be with this person for a year and not have sex with this person. But when we first have sex, it might be trash. Now I'm really viewing this whole thing like, hold on, I might need to step
just work
back.
on it.
Yeah, it is workable. Trust me, it is workable.
And that's kind of similar. Kind of the idea of the stemming from the question is sex a deal breaker? Because the church or the Christian beliefs will herald the idea of waiting until marriage. That's
right.
That's the idea. Whether that happens in a real scenario, that's relationship to relationship. I praise God for those who can wait, until marriage. That's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. But to the single is the fact that the option of sex and whether it happens, is that a deal breaker? If you can't, if you're trying to wait until marriage, then I'll pass because I know me. Right. Is that the dialogue that you have?
Now, what if you do, and you got to always get those fireworks? You got to always have the fireworks. It may not even always be the same afterwards, then you have to toss that person, and then you got to try again with another person. You got to try again with another person. So, I mean, even if you do wait to marriage, at least you locked in and you keep working and growing and working and growing on that. So, I mean, there's weights and balances in the whole situation. You want to try it, like you test drive a car, you hear that saying all the time, but I have a new car and it got in an accident and I might have to get another, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I don't even think did I test drive my brand new? I don't even know if I test drove it, but it was brand spanking new, so I got it and I trusted it. So I think if you get in a relationship and it's brand spanking new, you just got to trust it along the way. You trust God. So, I mean, it's weights and balances in the whole situation, but I don't knock anyone who get in a relationship and you do it and it works out and then you wait. It's just to each his own. In their relationship with God, that's how I feel. Everyone's relationship with God is different.
But I feel, yes, it is a deal breaker. To me, it is a deal breaker. Sorry, Granny, I know. I'm sorry. But to me, it's a deal breaker because when we're dating and we have sex, now it's like we have a stronger connection. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I could talk to you about anything now, especially afterwards. You know, we just laid back there looking at the ceiling. I feel like I could talk to you about anything. And I feel like, you know, to me, in my personal experiences, you know, like I told my auntie, I'm probably the wrong one to be, you know, sitting up here asking about this because, you know, I done had some of the worst relationships. But I don't regret, you know, me, you know, having sex before marriage or, you know, putting that first in a relationship. I'm sorry. But I don't regret that at all because it you know.
So it's like, what about like love at first sight then? That's what
Love at first sight? Well, I don't believe in that either.
So what would you
Could that
say?
be lust?
What would you say to the younger audience that's watching right now that hasn't dabbled into any sexual activity? What would be your message to them when it comes to dating and sex? Although you have your personal personal feeling, what would you say to them?
Yeah, just wait to marriage, stay a virgin, you know, because I'm not gonna be the one y'all not gonna listen to me. Listen, because your parents, no, y'all not gonna listen to me. Yeah, just stay a virgin. Don't go out there trying to adventure stuff, you know, because, you know, you see what you see on TV or hear what you hear on the radio or whatever, stuff like that. But, you know, it's fun for a moment, but, you know, I think keeping your virginity, you know, that's more, like if I was to run into a virgin right now at the age of 31, man, oh my goodness. It'll be a different relationship, you know. Even though I got miles on me, it'll be a different relationship if she didn't have that.
How important is your Christian beliefs factoring into dating? Do you compartmentalize? I'm a Christian, but dating has its own rules. Do they go together? How important is it? Teresa?
Well, if we're dating and we're getting to know each other, I think, like, my time is valuable. I'm a very valuable being, and just to even have my attention means a lot. So I just need respect, and if you're out there, just be open and be honest. So I just think honesty is just be straight up, be blunt, how they say blood raw, you just gotta keep it real. I'm an honest person. I despise being lied to. I despise secrets. I despise secret lives. You know, just be straight up. That's how I feel.
And also, I don't want to speak to you, but you did mention a God-fearing man. Is that like a must for you, right?
We can grow together. Just know you got that seed. You got the mustard seed. That's all that matters.
What about you, Keenan? How much Christian should the woman be for you?
Well, I'm gonna go back to basically what I was saying earlier about the three ladies that raised me. They got God fearing, very very much into the word. But for me, it's like I don't want to say the wrong things, but I don't, like in a relationship, I never dated someone that was a Seventh-day Adventist out of all these years. So my beliefs and her beliefs are different. You know what I'm saying? So I never really taught relationships to, any one of my exes or anything like that. And that's probably the reason why I'm single now, because I probably should have, brought her in the church and, basically try to, get on, one path. But if I was to find someone that believes in the same thing that I believe in, I do feel like it'll be a different story. Probably the same story, but different campfire. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I like that. All right, we have a game we want to quickly play, 2 minutes, and then we're moving on to our couple, our married couple. This is called speed text. Speed text. I'm just going to read a text, and you respond. Just read what does the text mean to you. Okay, so we got 2 for you, Keenan. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 22 says, "Run from anything that stimulates youthful lust. Instead, pursue righteous living, faithfulness, love, and peace. Enjoy the companionship of those who call on the Lord with pure hearts." What does that mean to you?
I think that really go back to I'm trying to figure out a way to answer this.
Don't think so hard, man. Just put it out there.
To me, what that means to me,
Let me read it one more.
I understand, I comprehend what you said, but it's kind of like, it's a topic that, like, okay. So, let's go to the next question. I got you on that one.
Okay.
I got you. Let's go to the next question.
So the title of the game is speed text.
Right. So you can't get speed out.
No speed answer. The speed text, speed answer.
Tell you, this is what it is, right? When you say speed text, when a female texts me a speed text paragraph, I just sit there and look at it like, how do I respond to this?
I got you.
That's how
I got
like,
you. So let's try this one. 1 Corinthians 15:33. "Don't be fooled by those who say such things, for bad company corrupts good character." What you got?
What you say out there? Yeah, man. That's another one because my answer is kind of like straightforward. And when I say straightforward, it's kind of like it get into the nitty gritty. Like that's something that me and you will sit here and we'll be talking about this for, I want to say like 30 minutes to an hour.
I got you.
But to me, man, here we go with that speed test.
You can pass, man. You can pass. So let's go to Teresa,
Yeah.
and then we'll check it out. Songs of Solomon 2:7. Promise me, O woman of Jerusalem, by the gazelles and wild deer, not to awaken love until the time is right. Speak.
Well, just wait on the Lord.
On the Lord.
Wait on the Lord.
Wait on the Lord. That's a good one. Proverbs 4:23. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life.
Because your heart is very, very fragile. It's fragile. It can be broken, and it can interfere with your health. So if you don't guard your heart and lean on, not on your own understanding, just trust in the Lord.
Good, good. Thank you, Keenan. Thank you, Teresa, for being the single representatives today. And I hope and pray that just the discussion has opened up a dialogue for those who are listening. We want to turn now to my brother here, Brandon, and his wife. I just want to ask quickly, what are your thoughts on hearing some of the conversation on the dating side, the side of the dating conversation?
Well, I thought both responses were honest, and I think that's the whole purpose of this conversation right now, just to be honest and transparent for the people who are watching, just to help them and also kind of give them the understanding like, hey, maybe you may feel this way and you're not alone in that. Like, even though we're in the church, a lot of us have the same experiences and we can kind of relate to each other in that way. So I think those were all really good answers.
Right. What about you, B?
Yeah, I think it was real. It was honest, because I think especially when you're first meeting someone and you're both single, you're kind of like trying to trick yourself into giving the answers that they think they want to hear, that the other person wants to hear. So you're not real, and honest, but I think both of them were like, very, very honest about how they see themselves and how they view themselves and where they're at. Because like I said, when you're first meeting someone and you're single, you almost want to give your best impression, just like anyone wants to. But if you're real and honest with that person about who you are, where you are in your life and things like that, it makes for a better transition if you all are going to eventually be together.
Right. Yeah. Now, they mentioned, we talked about the dating and the approaching from the man's perspective and the woman's perspective. How, being that you all are married, how did that go in the dating process for you? Meeting, did you have to approach her? Like, how did you all meet?
You can share.
So it's a little bit different because we were already at school. So I knew her as a friend prior to me approaching her. So it's different from, just being out, in the street or being just in a setting where, you've never seen this person before, but you want to go up. And I have had that experience before, but this time around it was easier because, I had already been, in a setting in school, seeing her at different functions, and even was currently, like, at the time, singing with her. So for me to approach her when I actually said, hey, I'm interested in you, it was easier than if I was like just, trying to holler at, someone
Right.
who I had never seen before. So,
And I know that every situation is different. What would be your reflection based on dating someone that someone that you're friends with, opposed to just meeting somebody new? I mean, is there advantages, disadvantages, splitting hairs?
I think some advantages of dating someone you already know is that you kind of have an idea of their character, and you've had that opportunity to kind of sit back and observe them, right? Versus like if you walk into somewhere that you're eating and you see someone, you're like, first you're visually attracted to them, but you don't know anything else about them. But because we were friends first, we had hung out in a group, and we've also been able to kind of like joke about different things, so you kind of have a different perspective on who that person is. So I think that was like a major advantage for us. Disadvantages, sometimes also being able to sit back and observe them, even though you're interested in them, can be a disadvantage because you have more time to kind of nitpick about some of the things like, well, I don't like that he does this or he says something that way. So yeah, like you said, there are both, but I do think that there are more advantages than disadvantages.
Got you. So from your perspective as a couple, how was the transition from dating to marriage? Like how was that?
It was tough. It was tough, and also we were long distance the entire time that we were dating. So, it was like she was going to a different school. So at the time I didn't know. I thought she was coming back, to continue, but she ended up like graduating early and going to another school, and that school was like 10 hours away. So I didn't know that. So when I had told her, I was like, hey, like I'm interested in you. At that time, I didn't know that she was switching schools. So to answer your question, like the transition from dating to marriage, I mean, it's tough because we led separate lives. Like I was doing my own thing, just doing my own thing, just building myself up as an individual and, doing for myself. And then, she was doing the same where she was in a whole different state. And so coming together, like from dating to marriage, it's just like, hey, now you're with this person and you almost have to think totally different, not because you don't want to be with that person, but you just have to remember, like, hey, I'm not by myself anymore, at all times, So I would say the transition was tough for that reason, but it was still, beautiful because, you're dating someone that you're constantly trying to get to know, and then you get to marriage and you're like, wait, I'm still like trying to get to know this person. So it's the same. I don't want to say it's the same, but I think that it comes with more challenges, yeah.
And what would you say the challenges, like the major?
Just being transparent, one of our challenges have been finances because I love to spend money. I'm just like swiping every card, and he is like really, really good at like budgeting and stuff like that. So some of our like bigger issues came up with like, hey, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, I've been this independent woman. I've been working. I've been doing my own thing all this time. All of a sudden, our money is our money. And I'm like, our money? When did it? Well, I mean, yes, when it switches, but you don't really think like, hey, I'll feel like, if you're like me and you like spending money, you might not think like, oh man, this may feel in some ways restrictive. Even though it's a good thing to be saving, it may feel a little bit different.
Right, like my money's her money and our money's our money. It's, yeah, you get that, right? Yeah, like, it's...
Right. I mean, a happy wife. Happy
Say
life.
that again. Say that again. Say it for the people.
Happy wife, happy life. How, in the marriage context, for you, and I'll ask you this, being the priest of the home, we hear that in the Christian community, you hear that priest of the home. I want to ask, what does that mean to you? And then I want to ask what that means to you and how that factors into your success or challenges in marriage.
Yeah, I think that for one, it puts responsibility, but you can also feel that pressure. Especially for myself, I didn't grow up in a home where my father was like the priest of the home or like spiritually leading, like so it was my mother, and my parents are they weren't together and they aren't together. They were married, but even when they were married, my mom was the one that was leading. So seeing that, I didn't really, it was new to me, when I got into a relationship, and now I'm like, okay, I have to learn how to lead spiritually. So, to say that besides my mother, I really didn't have anything to model, it after. So even now, I'm 27, I feel like, yes, I may be young, but I have a family now, and I need to, learn what it means to lead spiritually, because prior to us getting into a relationship or talking, I wasn't a very, religious or spiritual person as to say like, okay, I'm the model Christian. So I had to make that switch and that mindset change and start learning things and asking different people and, seeking out mentors and people that are like, hey, how can I input some things that can help, grow our family. So I think that it's beautiful, but it also, like I said, comes with responsibility to where I have to check myself and make sure that, I'm also partnering with my wife and asking her, like, how do you, where does your spiritual life and what does it look like in the next, 10 years to make sure that, like you said, it's equally yoked and that I can help us navigate and get to that place that we're trying to get to.
So how important is it to you then that there's a spiritual factor in the marriage home? Like how much is it needed? Is it something that you think about on the side, or is it the meat the meat of your marriage, if it is?
So I would say that it is very important. In my opinion, it is very important. I grew up in a household where my mom was not Seventh-day Adventist, and my dad was the priest of our household. So it kind of like flipped with what his experience. So it is that spiritual element is very important, and I almost find that for our relationship, it kind of helps to support a lot of other things, right? When a man has that spiritual foundation, I find, in my opinion, and just based on what I've been taught and stuff like that, in theory, he tends to be more faithful because he's not only reporting to you as his wife, he's reporting to God, and he has that commitment and that relationship with him, so he has that accountability, right? So in my opinion, it does help for it to be the foundation of your relationship. And it is important, I think, being with someone who you feel confident in as far as their spiritual relationship with God, you feel more comfortable following their lead, right? So if I didn't feel like my husband was consulting with God about something, and then to me, it feels like we're just making a really rash move. If I know in my heart, like, hey, well, you know what? He does consult God about this. And then, so I feel more comfortable, hey, let me follow his lead, rather than someone who's just like, not sporadic, but someone who just moves without any guidance. Like, that's a little bit harder for you as a wife to be that follower in that relationship. So it's important.
How important is devotion to the marriage context, either together or just on the personal level?
Devotion, in my opinion, is very important. I do think that sometimes, I'll be transparent, I'm human, so I don't always get to do that devotion. And as a couple, we don't always get to do that devotion. But I think when we do have that moment and we can check in and we can have that moment with God together, it does make a difference. So I do think as a couple, it really does matter. And I think as any couple, as they grow and as you go through things together that are a little bit harder, you almost kind of gravitate more to that devotion and to building that relationship with God together, because you realize the importance of it.
Right. What is your philosophy on
I'll put that on my Instagram page
yeah.
after this. After this,
talk about dating? What is your philosophy?
Philosopher.
How would you respond to because I understand that every relationship has its trials, its struggles, and what they look like is just tailored to the couple. What would you say is the recipe for handling situations that are contentious in the relationship? What would you say is the best way to handle them or to get over the hump, so to speak?
I think
We differ in our response to this, so you can go.
so. What is the best way to get over those situations? It depends on the situation. Is this something that you as an individual is just dealing with that's affecting the other person, or is this something, a joint situation that you all are both have? So it depends, but I think that, that's where understanding that person and knowing, like, how did they grow up? What is, how did that person how did that family's person, how did that person's family handle situations? So, I usually take back to, okay, what's the history? Like, why are you doing this, or why am I doing this? Oh, wow, like I'm doing this not because I'm a terrible person, or, I'm doing this because this is what I know, So I think that's really the key, is just pausing for a moment and reflecting, okay, we're dealing with something that is difficult to get over, but, like, where's the root, and, like, why is this happening, and, like, just attacking that root and trying to get towards that. And then once you find out that root, then you go ahead and, you plug in the faith and the prayer and and start doing that. But, to what, my wife was saying is, we don't always get to do that devotion, or we don't always get to pray, but we make an effort. If it's not today, okay, 2 days from now, we're going to do it. And it's like a muscle. Like, that's how I tell everyone, because none of us are perfect. Like, you know. But I think that if you exercise that muscle, like when it goes time to use it, you know, you're not going to pull a hamstring or something because, so it's kind of like that, you know, once you find the root and then you're able to go ahead and like, you know, okay, here's what we're dealing with. Now we understand it. So like, let's go ahead and like start trying to pray about it or do devotion about something like that, you know, but you won't even think to do that if you haven't been exercising like, you know, those thoughts. But yeah, like I said, I think it would just be finding out how that person grew up or why, you know, this bump is happening and trying to attack that root.
Right.
So, and I guess in those situations where we do have that contention, I find it best personally for me to take a step back and maybe go do something else, because sometimes the things that I want to say are like, I'm that person, I'm coming for the jugular. Like, I'm playing dirty. And it sounds bad, but in marriage, that's real, right? So I find it best for me just to take a step back and for us to have a minute. And then when we're both calm and our emotions aren't high about it, to then have a conversation about it. But within us, like knowing ourselves, just saying like, if we're going through something, I'm like, hey, I need a second. And I think it's also important if your partner says, hey, I need a second, to respect that. Don't try to continue on and push past it. No, if they say they need a second, they need that second, because maybe right now the response and the answers you may get from them are not the ones that maybe they even really want to say, but because they're just like, their emotions are so high, they may say something that they don't mean. So for us, we tend to do that. Second, we talked to a pastor couple. So the former pastor of this church, Pastor Kreider, and his wife, we did our marriage counseling with them, and because we feel so comfortable with them, if there's something going on, I would just call her like, Sister Kreider, help me. And she's always there as a listening ear. So it's also another way to handle that is to have maybe older adults who may not be a pastor and his wife, but maybe people who have been married for a while, who experienced some bumps and kind of been through some of that stuff, and just touch base with them like, hey, how would you have handled this? Or not even how would you have handled this, like, how can I handle this better? If I tell you what I did, like, oh, okay, Alex, maybe you shouldn't have done that. You could apologize and move forward. Kind of just realizing the beauty and wisdom that other people can give. But even within that, make sure that you're talking to someone who you feel their marriage is a healthy marriage. Don't just go taking advice from anybody, because everyone will always give advice, but it may not always be good advice. So that's how we kind of deal with it.
Well, when you look at your husband, what makes you smile?
I guess when I think about
She's smiling right now. Go ahead.
Give him his flowers.
I just think about how silly he is. I think about his personality, and I really, really like to reflect on those moments where we have together, where I can just be myself. Like, it's so important to be with someone who you feel like you can be yourself with, whether that means like you're super crazy or weird or anything like that. If you're with that person and they accept you and they love you for who you are, I don't know. I just love the guy.
What about you? When you look at your wife, what makes you smile?
Honestly, obviously, like, I feel like she's beautiful, you know, the outward appearance. But, you know, like her, just things that she thinks make her weird. Like, to me, I'm like, yo, that's so beautiful. That's funny to me. Like, that's silly, you know, and it's something that just makes me smile, you know? So like she said, you really have to find someone that you're just, it doesn't even matter what anybody else thinks. They could think whatever about her, but I'm just like, her smile, the bomb. Her nose, I'm loving it. Like, you know, it doesn't, people be like, oh, no, I don't like, that's cool. You don't like it, but I'm just letting you know, like, this is what I'm feeling. So, yeah.
Awesome. So from the outside looking in, from the inside looking out, when you look back at the dating scene or the dating culture right now, is it in trouble? Do you see any concerns, or are you like, hey, I made it over. Hey, do what y'all do what y'all
y'all figure that out over there. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think that I don't think that it's in trouble. Well, honestly, I don't know, because, you know, I would say I don't know to the answer, but I think that it just depends on who you're looking to date, because not everybody wants what we have. Like, they may want something totally different, and that may work for them and may truly bring them joy and happiness, and that's awesome. So I just think that a lot of what is going on right now, like he was talking about in the beginning, is just social media, what they see online, what they see in TV, what they see. All of that is fake, or is very it's like fluffed, like it's fluff stuff, you know, or it's the best of what that relationship is, or the best of every situation. So I don't think dating is dead. I don't think it's in a terrible spot. I just think that, you know, moving forward, as long as we remain human and be real with ourselves, you know, I think dating is gonna be all right.
I don't agree with that. I wouldn't say it's in trouble, but I would say that there's two main things, like, in my opinion. I think a lot of people, as it's like we're going through phases in our life, right? When you're young, in your, well, I guess like in your late teens, right? I feel like the women who are starting to get out into the dating world sometimes don't understand their beauty, right? Or because they don't understand that, and because sometimes they didn't have people to pour into them about how beautiful they are, sometimes they're willing to accept less than what they deserve. So that's why I think it may be in trouble. And I think a big part of who you end up with has to do with your self-esteem, right? So if you don't have that self-esteem, and the first person who walks up to you, he may not be a great guy, but you're like, well, you know. So we definitely, I think that's a part of it, right? The woman coming into the dating the scene and not knowing their worth. And the second part, well, I guess what worries me is that we've become a culture that's so superficial, right? So we see everything on social media, and because we see it on social media, that's what we want, but it's not always real, right? Who's gonna put out the worst parts of their lives? Who's gonna put that on blast? I don't know anyone who will. So because we see that, that's what we emulate, and we really want to portray that. And if we don't see that immediately, right, we're like, oh, well, this is not gonna work, da-da-da-da. So that's kind of why that would be my second area of concern. And my third area of concern would be the commitment to building something. I don't feel like is there the way it used to be, and that, like, we are a lot quicker to, like, throw away relationships if we feel like they are not going exactly how we feel like they should. Not saying that if you're in an unhealthy relationship you should stay, not at all what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is, like, every relationship is gonna have areas that needs improvement, right? Because we're all human. But I think as a culture, we're almost like so used to just like picking it up and throwing it out. Oh, well, next one. And I think I see that in the younger generation. So that's something that concerns me as far as commitment to getting to know someone on a deeper level.
Well said. I think that was well said.
And ending with that, what would you say to the youth today, or what advice would you give on dating?
I just feel like I don't want to go after you, so no, I'm just kidding. But
Give us some good advice.
Not marriage, but dating. Just dating. Yeah. I would say my advice is to truly have a goal in mind, and I'm not talking about like, oh, I'm the next person I date I have to marry, but I just mean having a goal in mind for where you may see yourself, or if you even see yourself seriously with that person. So like being intentional, I think is what I'm going for, is just making sure that, you know, that other person that you're getting ready to, you know, to date, you know, they have a life as well, and, you know, you can come in and shake things up, you know, before it's time, or you could, you know, leave them, and, you know, if you could have avoided some heartbreak or anything like that, you know. So I just think keeping it real, keeping it honest, you know, but also advising young people to know that you don't have to be, you know, hold on to just one person and that be your person forever. Not everybody's going to be high school sweethearts. Right. That like, once again, superficial. Like, you know, it looks good on TV, but, you know, you really do have to get out there. So my advice, you know, to the men is to be intentional, you know, with your dating. When you find someone that you think you want to, you know, date. But my advice to the woman is to, I guess, you know, to understand that, I guess, to just be more more open, to waiting for, men to develop as well, because it takes time. And, not in every situation, but there's a lot of men out there that want to understand how to do things, but like I said, like not seeing, my father give devotion ever, that wasn't his role that he ever played. So now I'm in a situation where I have to intentionally seek out people who can help me, so like I said, just being open, and understanding that, that developing and like kind of like what Teresa, okay, yes. Yes, just growing together, that can happen, as long as you're honest with that person with where you are, currently as a person.
I agree with that. I guess I'll start with the guys first because I have less to say to them. But for guys, I will definitely say be intentional about getting to know yourself and what you need in a spouse, number one. And also, well, if that's your plan, of course. And number two, be intentional about, if you want to be a man of God, you need to start making small steps now, right? You can't just wake up one morning and boop, I got it. No, that's not how it works, because it's a struggle for everyone. It's not like something that just happens, right? And also be intentional about knowing yourself, right? For men and for the guys and for the girls, you need to know yourself. You need to know what you want. You need to know your expectations, so that if someone comes knocking at your door, you're not accepting whatever they're bringing. If it doesn't look right, bye, you gotta go. Like being confident in what you want. For the young ladies out there, I want you guys to know that you're very beautiful, and I need you guys to understand that even the things that you don't like about yourself, there's gonna be a guy out there who's gonna think that's the most amazing thing about you. So you don't have to feel like, oh, well, if you like someone and they don't like you, then something's wrong with you. No, that just means that that's not the person for you, and that's okay. Keep walking, because the person who is for you, you're just gonna feel, they're gonna be that person who has the ability to fill you with joy and to make you feel beautiful, right? And I think that's what every woman wants, right? Every woman wants to be reaffirmed. Every woman wants to be a superhero. Yeah. So to me, I need you guys to know it, because I think, looking back at my life, some of the mistakes I made, I probably wouldn't have made if I had a woman that's like, hey, know your worth, baby. Like, don't, like, no, that's not it. That's not it. And even sometimes when you don't know your worth and someone says that's not it, it doesn't work. You're just like, maybe it is, Exactly. So just really, women, get to know yourself and understand like what you want in a mate. Don't just think, oh, well, don't assume that every guy has all the things that you want just because he's good looking. He that doesn't mean he has everything that you want, right? So that's my advice.
Good. Okay, we're wrapping up, but speed text, yes, yay, nay? Okay. Brandon, Genesis 2:18. Then the Lord God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper who is just right for him."
Yeah, I think that means that, it, as beautiful as it is to learn about yourself, that, Christ put us on this earth to find someone, a partner, someone who, a companion, someone, to be our helpmate, that's going to help us blossom even more. So, like, I'm cool by myself, like, but at the same time, like, now that I'm married, and, like, even before I was married, like, I just saw myself growing in ways that I myself never really even thought about, because she's just been able to bring that dynamic to me. So I think really that's what that's saying, is that, I mean, you can be cool by yourself, but if you really want to get, to where Christ may see you going, it doesn't mean that you have to, but that may require, a companion that, that can help you get to that place. So.
Okay, I like it. Alex?
Yeah. Can I interrupt you for a second? So you had asked Teresa a little bit earlier the text about guarding your heart, right? And what that meant to her. And when you brought up the text, I was like, oh, man, that's such a really, really good one. And if you don't mind, I just wanted to touch on that text really quick. So in my opinion, guarding your heart means knowing yourself and knowing what you can handle, and whether you're prepared for a relationship or not prepared for that. But even as a young adult, understanding that there's so much tied to to your heart. Like some of the things that you experience as you get older, like even though you may not be there yet, as you get older, you have some life experiences that bring this text to life, right? Like so for a lot of people that I know, maybe you wouldn't have made the same mistakes if you were thinking about like the mistakes with other people. You wouldn't have made those mistakes if you had really tried to guard your heart and understand like, hey, I'm precious, I'm worth it. Like, and if you have those thoughts in your mind, you won't make some of the mistakes that I would consider like my bad mistakes, you know?
Oh, that's good. That's good. You used up your question though, so.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, one more. Hebrews 13:4, and I'll give whoever wants to answer this. Give honor to marriage and remain faithful to one another in marriage. God will surely judge people who are immoral and those who commit adultery. Wow. Kind of got heavy at the end, but.
Ooh, you want to take that one?
I mean, I just think that, you know, when you're committing to marrying someone or committed to being with that person, you know, through marriage, you're also making a commitment to God. And so, you know, and like there's going to be times where you either may be tempted or situations that may happen, but I just think that ultimately, you know, your commitment, when you may be angry with your wife or your wife may be angry with you, it's bigger than that. It's like, okay, what is the commitment that I made to God? Because like answering to my wife, that may be a little bit scary and daunting, but man, I'm still trying to get to the you know, the kingdom. So I'm like, all right, cool. I know that I'm human. I know that she's human, but I have to answer to someone who is, you know, divine and someone that, you know, I really want to make sure that I'm making proud. So I think, you know, to me, you know, that just means that in whatever you do with your relationship, that it needs to be, you know, something that will glorify God.
Very good.
Really, really quick, I promise. In my opinion, that text definitely means value your commitment within your union, right? So when you're getting into it, don't take it as a joke. Don't think, oh, well, I'm just going to jump into this and I can jump out if I want. That's not necessarily how this goes, you know? So I think with that understanding, I think a big part of valuing your commitment is taking the steps before you get married to understand what you're getting into. So for us, it was marriage counseling and understanding like, hey, there may be some areas that I'm not so great at, and this may be something that hinders my relationship. So just being aware of those small things before getting into it so that when you're going through some of those struggles, you also may have the tools that other people have given you to get through those.
Very good. Very good. Well, that wraps up our discussion. I'm enlightened and encouraged and concerned. Keenan over there, but
I just think once you have your foundation, like you said,
I had a good time today. I thank you all for joining us on Shaking It Up, talking about relationships, dating. Now we are going to get, we have, staff has brought us some donuts with strawberries and whipped cream, and we're about to have cream cheese. We're about to have a little after party here. But I definitely wanted to just pray for our panelists and pray for those who are watching. Father, right now we just thank you for this opportunity to discuss, to keep it real, to shake it up a bit in our discussions, dear God, and put some things out there that we are experiencing as people. I first want to just pray for our panelists here, Keenan, Teresa, Brandon, and Alex, thanking you for allowing them to be a part of this, but also to ask of you, God, to bless them as they are all in their various ways or forms or journeys when it comes to relationships and dating. And I pray that as your spirit is moving, that you will guide each one of them and also those who are watching to better relationships, honest relationships, relationships that have you at the core, relationships that are going higher in you, dear God, and are successful, and relationships that are examples to others who are unsure if they even want to get into dating or have cast out the idea of being married, dear God. We pray that we have said something that will encourage those who are watching. We thank the staff and all of those who have allowed this program to go forth, and we just pray your blessing on us now. Thank you again. In Jesus' name we pray. Thank you for joining us on Shaking It Up, and until next time, be safe and God bless.